What if overnight you had to change the way that you sell machinery? And is that coming next week? Is it Monday? Is it Wednesday next week? Who knows? So what we thought we'd do, we'd jump on, do a live stream for you steel pushers out there. I've got my good buddy here, Luke Bruce. Welcome, brother.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, welcome to the Friday the 13th episode. It's not quite the end of the world, despite the toilet paper fights you see in the supermarket. But we thought we'd kind of chime in with a few ideas that might help people out at this time.
Yeah, well, over the last, 3 or 4 days, we've been having some interesting meetings and, how we future-proofing ourselves right now, how we managing the risk in our business. So we thought, hang on a sec, we're running through this process. Let's share some of the learnings. Let's jump on. Hopefully, we give you a couple of ideas that you can use over this next period. Of course, there's, a bit of panic out there and people are a little concerned, a bit of fear. But it's sort of time to take, cool heads and just gather your thoughts and get your key team members together and come up with a bit of a strategy, Luke. So, mindset, what is everyone going through at the moment?
Well, people are trying to fight off panic a little bit. The more experienced, obviously, they've got their heads cool and flat. But the antidote to panic is really a plan and decisiveness. It's deciding what you're going to do and then acting on it.
Yeah, well, there's the old fight and flight, isn't there? So, if you got, you're one of those people that something happens and stress comes on, you fight, or or you're just standing there where you're just like, hang on a sec, we're not actually doing anything here. What is the company doing right now? And for me, that's I couldn't think of anything worse of just standing still and not doing anything. So I always want to take action. So that's where probably the yin and yang of us get together, and I want to take action and just run like a bull, and you probably calm me down and actually start thinking a bit of a plan, and we put our plan together. So what do we do around leadership?
Yeah, well, basically economic winter is here now. Like, everyone's seen the markets. They might bounce back up tomorrow, but they're more than likely probably going to take a while to get back to where they were, especially with oil prices on top of Corona. So what does that mean for the companies out there? What are you going to do now this has come?
Yeah.
And there's going to be three reactions. There's going to be those that withdraw, and they're immediately thinking about, where can we cut spending? What staff can we do without? What should we not do? What should we not do? What should we not do?
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's a good strategy. But there's the others that are waiting and seeing, and they want to see someone else move first. And they don't make any changes. And it might work, but that's pretty risky. And then there's the guys that go, what's the silver lining here? How can I take market share now that everyone else is scared?
Yeah, I think it's the old learning we had. It's the quality questions you're asking yourself, because you're going to come up with a different answer, aren't you? So if you're asking good quality questions, normally that's going to lead to a better solution of what's actually going on at the moment. It's like right now, how can we be better as an organisation to sell machinery right now? What are the things that are coming up? What is the risk management of the whole process? What are the things that are at risk right now? What could we be doing better in those areas? So what else you got there?
Well, it's also about the opportunities that lie alongside those risks, because every situation has both. And whatever you see more of depends on your mindset. So times like these can be a great leveler. Big companies, because of their size, have to move a lot slower.
Yeah.
Smaller companies can suddenly make quick changes and be a lot more resourceful and adept to change as changes happened overnight. So it's going to take big, sizable companies time to move. They've got a lot more to organise.
Yeah.
Even if they've got a decisive plan, it'll take them a longer to implement. But the smaller companies, there's a lot of opportunity out there right now for them to step up and show what they're actually made of.
It was the old strengths and weaknesses, isn't it? The old David Goliath story. It's you got to play to your strengths.
Yep.
And it's an opportunity that shapes companies. We love a good challenge. and we always have and always will. So I look at it like, how are we going to be better from this? Okay, it's a tough situation. It feels like, the movie's just going to end. My wife says, it's just like she's reading a book and then it's just going to end. But, it's going on at the moment, and we're seeing the airports quieter. And mate was flying back to Perth last night, and he sent me a photo of Melbourne Airport, and it was empty. And was like, Jesus, that was 6:30 at night. So it is going to go on. Part of the other reason of jumping into this live stream was we have experienced the 2008 GFC.
Well, we basically launched into it. I mean, we got online at the end of 2006. We had a year of getting into business, so we were 1 year old.
Yeah.
And then 2008 and 2009 hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, which ultimately was great for us. Marketplace, the people had to go use the equipment and things changed.
Well, we tripled our business over those 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we grew 300%.
Yeah.
And
so
it wasn't easy, but we had to be resourceful with what we were doing. We had to spend on the marketing that actually worked.
Yeah.
And be really careful and go, hey, we're getting results from that. It forced us to track and measure what was actually working. We couldn't just tick any boxes and go, oh, we did that.
Yeah. I couldn't have the blimp that I wanted, and I couldn't sponsor that V8 car that I wanted, and those billboards or, down Dandenong Road there. But we did things in a very smart and cautious way, didn't we?
Yeah, well, there was 3 other marketplaces that launched in the same space at the same time.
Yeah.
And none of them survived.
Yeah, one was a big international one that came here, and we were like, Jesus, these guys have come here. But yeah, you can do things in a lot smarter way, can't you, once you get obsessed or once you really go through the experience. So for us, it was interesting. I didn't realize the full impact of what we'd done through that period. It was until, talking to a few dealers after it, and they were like, back at that time, you guys freaking helped us. That online, we didn't realize we were going to get so many leads from it. And they were doing other things that were really expensive in marketing terms, and they cut back on some of those and went stronger at, doing videos, and because we started launching out videos on the site and what have you then, and it helped them. That was that long ago. So back to, doing the old marketing that's giving the return right now. Every dollar counts mindset, isn't it?
Well, the difference between the situation we have today and the situation back in 2008 and the GFC is it's not just caused by finances. Like, the GFC was a subprime crisis. People didn't trust banks, and it led from there. You could still go to an exhibition. Yeah. People weren't afraid for their lives. So what we have is a double challenge now. Yeah. We have the financial crisis, and we also have the possibility that we can't do business the same way that we've been doing it for the last 10 years, at least for a temporary time.
Yeah, and we've already seen it over the last couple of days. We've had noticed that a couple of the big trade shows coming, are postponed now to next year. So, a couple of those trade shows, one happens every 2 years, and now they've just had to cut it because we can't be around all these people when it hits. So those companies have already spent money on marketing and signage and, getting the team ready because the expo was coming up in May. But now they've got to readjust because they had planned for those leads that were coming into their company. All of a sudden, overnight, yesterday, that just changed. So what are the other new things that we can be doing? So that's the quality question. It's like, what are the other tools? And we've got that in the next part of the show.
Yeah, with the trade shows, a lot of businesses rely on them to produce a fair chunk of their revenue each year. And it depends on the different types of equipment that are sold. So if you know that show is cancelled, you've got to look at what you got out of it last year or the year before. How many machines did you actually track back to that trade show? Because if you can't sell those ones this year, you're going to have a dent in your numbers. Yeah. So what are the possibilities of getting leads and sales from elsewhere to make up for that hole that's going to be left from the trade show that's not going to happen this year?
And then there's that side of it. Then there's the supply side of it. If you ain't got all these new fancy machines coming across in the boats and getting out here, well, then you got to do something differently. You got to look around your yard because we all know you got steel pushers have all got a few other machines down the back that you haven't got on the website, you haven't got on our marketplace, your customers don't know about it. So we've got to look around and gather up everything and take photos, videos, get it online, get it on your website.
Yeah.
You know, it's time to sell everything you got.
Well, it's about being resourceful on where you can get stuff to sell. If you're just reliant on importing new equipment, that's great, but there's going to be hold-ups there for a while at least. So do any of your customers actually have something that they need to get rid of? Can you sell it on behalf?
Yeah.
Your network of guys that are in the industry, like if you've got any locations interstate, what have they got lying around as well that one of your customers locally could use?
Yeah.
It's about selling what's available, because you may not be able to get anything for a month or two.
Exactly. So talk to me about the plan. This is our next section here. We need a plan, don't we? We need an ABC, as you like to say.
So you need plan A.
Yep.
You know, what's some interim measures? You need plan B if things start getting a bit more serious. And plan C is basically lockdown mode. You know, if things get real bad, what's the survival plan?
Yeah, so how do we put that in place? Do we wait until we see these markers, these, lead indicators? Hang on, we've got to this level, now we've got to kick into plan B. Hang on, we've got to this level, geez, that's plan C. So it's very good for the leadership team to brainstorm themselves before the anxiety comes. Once the stress comes, I always say to our staff, stress comes and intelligence seems to go down, So it's like we've got to do it before we're in those states of stress and anxiety and stuff. So, everyone can get on the same page. We do it in a calm state, and then we've got these plans and these triggers. You're going to be better off, ain't you?
Yeah, because the plan needs a trigger as well, or multiple triggers.
Yeah.
How do you know when to start doing the next series in your plan?
Yeah.
And this becomes much easier when you know your KPIs, whether that's quotes in the company, whether that's customers you're currently talking to, or whether that's dollar contracts sold. Every company's got different KPIs out there around their sales or around their internal team or their service department. What are those KPIs? What hit are you expecting to take off them over the next couple of months? And at what number do they need to get to before you start introducing the next level of your plan, like whether that's pushing out or whether that's cutting back or whether that's doubling down on your marketing or doubling down on, how many calls you're doing over there with your sales team?
Yeah. Talk to me about cash flow, because the old saying, isn't it, cash is king. We've got to make sure we're not going to run ourselves out of money here.
Well, it's the lifeblood of your business.
Yeah.
No business can operate for long without cash flow, and that's where you see them fall over. So do the quick numbers with your accounts team. What is your current runway?
Yeah.
And then what can you do within your business to extend that runway?
Yeah.
And that's part of the planning. What's plan A to extend the runway? What's plan B? What are your major expenses? And can you get any relief on those expenses right now? I mean, do you have any staff that like camping in the middle of nowhere and wouldn't mind 2 weeks unpaid leave?
Yeah.
Hey, if you can do without them and they're going to be working from home or they're not going to be at customers anyway, let them go hang out in their four-wheel drive. They're probably safer out there than in the middle of the city anyway.
Yeah.
What can you do with your major expenses to reduce them, even if it's just for a couple of months?
Yeah, and then that's a really good point, because we've got to ask our staff. It's one thing the leadership team going down the end room there and coming up with things, but you've got to ask your staff. They will want to be part of the solution. Hey, we're going to go to a break. We're going to see you shortly for the next part of the show. Our sales guys go out and see a lot of customers, and a lot of the businesses wanted to do email marketing because they knew it would be good for their business. They weren't doing it because they were really time poor. In just 60 seconds, you can choose your list, choose your machines, and click send. It's that simple.
Your sales team can use machine mail to leverage their customer databases, creating on-brand emails that go out to their clients in a matter of minutes, producing instant sales leads for your company.
There's a lot of our customers out there who are sending emails who have had to learn along as they go, and they've learned the hard way. Sometimes it's losing some of their database. Sometimes it's getting blacklisted because they've been sending the wrong information at the wrong times.
The machine mail system handles all of the unsubscribes from your database to make sure your company complies with email marketing regulations.
Email marketing, it can be a bit of a minefield. There is so many different boxes that you need to tick and get right.
Another great feature of Machine Mail is it lets you schedule emails up to 2 weeks in advance, so you can organise your email marketing well ahead of time. The heart of any good e-marketing software is the client email lists. We've made it simple and easy to manage your lists and segment them by location, by brand, by customer type, so you can get the right equipment to the right clients at the right time. The other half of email marketing is interpreting the stats and reporting. So we make sure for every email you send through Machine Mail, you get 2 stats reports. They'll show you how many clients you sent the email to, who unsubscribed, who bounced, who opened it, but most importantly, which customers clicked on which machine of interest. And that's what you need to know. To leverage your marketing team and get more out of your sales team than you ever thought possible, speak to one of our account managers now about Machine Mail or visit machinemail.com.au.
Welcome back, all you steel pushers. We just had an interesting comment, about supplies drying up, and you're absolutely right. So, once again, problem solution. Do we hit the brick wall? What other brands could you go and negotiate with at the moment to go and sell around the country? Is there an Australian brand? If you're selling attachments and you've been bringing them in from China, or you're getting them from Italy, which all of a sudden closed down. Is there an Australian supplier who's still got some metal and bits and pieces to weld some things together and you could sell that for a while? What are the other stocks that you could get off some of the other OEMs perhaps, or some of the other dealers? We've got to just think a bit more outside the box, out of our network. Who could we, get on the phone, contact them, see if we can sell their brand and some other machines?
And work with your customers as well, because they want the new machine, and that's great. But if you can't get the new machine for 3 or 4 months and you're going to lose a deal on it, is there a used machine that can plug that gap in the meantime? Is there something that you can loan them or lease to them, or something else that can do the job until we can get something out from one of our suppliers?
Yeah, and can we get some parts and fix up the other machine to get them through, and then we talk about the machine, if we're in 4 or 6 months' time. If there's all thing, it might blow over next week, might blow over in 3 weeks, might blow over in 6 months, so who knows? So the next interesting topic, the old what if the lockdown comes?
Yeah.
What if next week they say to us all, right, no one get together, stay at home, stay in your businesses if you can manufacture stuff. If you're on your farm, you can chop the crops and do what you got to do. But what if there's lockdown?
Well, there's already the initial lockdown, which was announced about an hour ago. So as we speak, I think it's gatherings of 500 people or more.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think there's a ban on public gatherings of 500 people or more at the moment, which is the very first step.
Yeah.
But what if it goes to the next level? So if you've got a big staff, what are they going to be doing, and where are they going to be doing it? And how are you going to reach your customers if this lockdown comes?
Yeah, well, we're looking at, staff working from home next week. There's a really good chance that can happen. We've been gearing up the last few days, making sure everyone's got a good working space at home. Luckily, we're in a world of we're set up for this, that they can actually work from home, haven't we?
Also, with a lockdown, there comes opportunity. Yes, you might not be able to sell the amount of equipment simply because you can't get it. And you may not be able to change that. But what can you work on in the time that you're locked down?
Yeah, because we've heard it so many times, and, there's steel pushers out there, they're off to, the trade show. Oh, I don't want to go to another trade show. I don't want to go to another trade show. Well, all of a sudden, if there's no trade show, you got time to do other things. What about all those videos that you were going to make? Your showroom's still sitting there. Your machinery's still sitting there. You ain't got customers coming in. You got lockdown. Grab you and Larry, chuck them in front of a machine and fire up the video camera.
Yeah, because if there's not going to be any exhibitions going on, why not hold a virtual exhibition in your own showroom? Demonstrate one machine a week online. Record it. Post it to YouTube. Do a live Facebook feed. Invite your best customers to watch it live.
I really like that idea when you came up with it. The old options man here, he could come up with about 15 ideas in about 3 minutes. So I really like that one. Why don't we change it to go, this live stream of your best guy demonstrating a machine. I'm sure your customers would enjoy it, especially if you cock it up and, jump in camera for the first time and get it wrong. They'd love to see you get out and do that, wouldn't they?
Well, all your customers are going to be in the same boat as you, because they're all going to be worried about their businesses, the money they're losing while they're sitting at home. So what are they going to be trying to do? They're going to be thinking of the next best thing they can do. Some of them will need machinery, some of them won't. But if their machinery can't actually work, isn't it the perfect time to get it serviced? Can your service shop still work? Can you go to site and service these things?
Yeah, exactly. What's some other cool tools that these guys can be using at the moment? What about, everyone's on bloody FaceTime and iPhones and all this bits and pieces. Just FaceTime your customers.
Well, the last thing that most people want to be doing is handshaking over a machine at the moment, even if it is a deal. Can you demonstrate the machines using FaceTime? Facebook Messenger, that lets you actually have several people watching the video at one time. So you can, if you've got two business partners that you're selling to, you can do a video demonstration of the machine over Facebook. Or you can turn to professional tools. Zoom's one of the best professional tools for doing webinars, doing screen shares, also doing video broadcasts similar to this. And you can have, I think it's up to 4 or 5 participants on the free version, and if you get the paid version, it's pretty much as many as you like, as long as you like. We can put a few links to some of the tools in the description below once this video is done, but Zoom's been a great tool for us. We use it. Zoom also has a virtual PABX, so it can replace your phone system. So if you've got one of these antiquated phone systems where you've still got a handset on each desk, you can actually replace that all with Zoom. It's got an app that goes on your mobile, so you can have a landline that rings on your mobile. You can transfer to a person that's halfway across the country. It doesn't matter if they're at home or not. It's really good for working remotely, and you can turn a call into a video call just like that. So there's some really good digital tools out there that can actually help if lockdown comes.
And don't forget, in the break, you just saw our machine mail system, which we've actually loaded into the packs now of memberships, that you can email your customers right now. Mick Brown says within 2 minutes. I'm still yet to get it to 2 minutes, but I'm about 3.5. But a great tool. You've got all these databases, and we've heard so many people say we've got them, but they haven't done anything about them. Maybe it's time to just do that. Keep in touch with your clients right now. It's a time where they're going through, stress and uncertainty. Email them. Keep in touch,
Well, every company we talk to, they're time poor. And this is the time where you actually get to do all the stuff that you've always wanted to do, but you've been too busy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be forced to do it. Like, if you're going to do some good email marketing, you've got to get your database sorted out. And that takes time, and it's annoying, and you're going to have Excel spreadsheets, or you're going to be messing with your CRM. But now is actually the best time to do it. If you've got a bunch of sales guys that are going to be sitting around because no one's going to be talking to them, yes, they hate data entry, but now's the time to get them doing data entry.
One of them out of the bunch will be quite techie on the old computer.
Yep.
So load him on and get the others, adding to the list. What about this 150k, tax relief they've just put out yesterday? That's a nice little incentive for anyone who's got a heap of money at the moment and still digging holes. Yeah,
they've also upped it from, I think, 50 million turnover to 500 million turnover for the cap on who can claim that 150k. So that's I don't think there's been a better time to buy capital equipment.
No, normally it's 20 grand at the end of tax time.
Yeah,
30 at max, I think they've got to. Now 150,000.
Yeah, so for companies wanting to tool up, this is the best time that has ever been. So now you've got to get your offers out in front of them. And this is where the email marketing does come in. Everyone that's told you you're a bit too expensive in the last 24 months and hasn't bought the machine off you, it's perfect. Send them an email right now. Now the tax department's paying for a big chunk of that machine.
Yeah.
If they haven't bought something already,
maybe drop the margin a little. Ease up. We've got to, maybe that's a consideration. Maybe, if we're making 15, 20%, maybe at the moment we make 10, 12%. If that's when you come back to the cash flow and see that that's going to run out at some point, well, then we can consider, that as an option. So it's about winning business, winning your fair share of the chunk of business that might be contracting. So if there's, the pool's only so much size, if you actually retract, I think I hate that word. I want to push out, It's like the old helicopter, the thing you do when you're crashing is actually push the handle forward. It's like you don't want to pull it back, but everything in you got to push it forward.
Or as a business owner, if you show uncertainty and you start panicking at the moment, your staff are really going to feel that.
Yeah.
And if you're worried, your staff are twice as worried. So if you are letting people go or have plans to let people go, you got to remember this is actually a good time to get good people that are out there.
Yeah, well, I'm on to one at the moment, and I reckon he's going to be starting up with us shortly. I just had a good interview this morning, actually. Yeah. So it is a good time.
So don't just think about it in the way of, equipment and machinery. What human resources are out there? Like, is the people in your industry that you've always wanted to wish worked for you?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good time to try and grab them.
Now's the time to grab them. What about recover fast? What about our recovery? So imagine this has all happened and then we all of a sudden come out the other side or start coming out the other side. How do we recover, quickly?
Well, recoveries, no one knows when or if or how bad this thing's going to get. But it's part of the planning. It's part of planning A, B, and C, and knowing your numbers. What are the signs in your marketplace? When do you know you're going to start pushing out heavily again?
Yeah.
What's it going to take? Is it going to take for announcements that everything's okay? Or do you need the stock market to rebound? Or is it just going to be listening to the phone and seeing how often that rings? What's going to push you? What's going to trigger you to go, right, now it's business as usual again?
Yeah, and then what efficiencies are we going to create through this period? If it's a solid 3 months and we create far better efficiencies in here, I'll be a happy man. So what are the efficiencies we can carry forward? Maybe we're not going to as many trade shows and bits and pieces. And, I love trade shows. I love going to them. I've gone to a few in my time. But maybe there's a new technique of selling machinery and maybe this forces this upon us and we all do learn a bit from it. I'm always trying to learn from these situations as well. How can the team learn from it? Do we learn these new Zoom, fancy things that we've been using for a long time? Can you implement these tools that, because of the learning, and then it gets the efficiencies and we keep that further down the track?
Well, it's about improving the systems in your business. Now's a chance to actually work on the systems. If you're not going to be selling and you can't get the equipment, you've got time. Yeah, it's going to hurt. You're going to hate your cash flow in that time. But if you actually take that time to work on all the systems and stuff that you've got running everything in the back end, by the time things get up and running again, you're going to have an advantage.
Yep, for sure. And what about, sparing a thought for others? Like quite often we all get in and we're thinking about ourselves and what have you and our companies. Think about, of course your customers and other people, but other people down the road. Who can we help out,
Yeah, there's always someone worse off. In Australia, we've got a great healthcare system. We do have a government that actually, despite all their faults, they try and do what they can.
They seem to change a bit.
Yeah, they do change a bit too often for my liking.
Yeah.
But they've put a great stimulus package out that's going to help capital equipment and business. Yeah, it's not perfect, but nothing ever is perfect.
Yeah.
So what can you do to help your community? What can you do to help your staff? Because everyone's in the same boat.
All right, time's flying along, mate. We better have a bit of a summary of all the things we've chatted about, and we think, from what we're seeing, winter is here, obviously. Let's go and, calm heads. Let's not go out and panic and tear these businesses to pieces.
Let's look at the opportunities. Yes, there's risks, but don't forget, with risk comes opportunity.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of people are going to make a lot of money in amongst all this fear and risk and problems, So what about the lockdown? What if that happens? We've got to get on and create these videos and get the team doing those things that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, if you just got your best sales guy recording videos about your equipment for a month, you'll kill it.
Yep. So what about recover fast, get in there, do the recovery, learn from it, grow. Also, Steel Pushers, don't forget, we did chuck this show in you on a Friday 13th, but we've got the recruiting one coming up as well. We've got Declan Kluver 25th, he's coming along Wednesday. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you jumping in. Buy better.
Sell faster.
Thanks,
And
you steel pushers.
And wash your hands.